Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes, and you are awesome. So, talking of awesome people, we've got Martin Harrow, we've got Elle, we have got Plum Duff, and we've got Francis, we've got Peter Music in there, we've got Scalafray and Ren, Leapshin, SG, Nick and Diff, we've got Sarah Davis, hi Sarah, we've got Mr. Tisk at 27, we've got Anne Phillips, we've got Alice Sturm in the chat, we've got Ivan in the chat. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat, become a socialite, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button and wait for approximately 30 seconds. And then you should be able to join the chat, but don't be a troll. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about defense, the defense of the realm, which is sort of like, I don't know, the most important thing a government has to do. Not necessarily the realm, but the people. Like, a government is supposed to be there to protect the people. That's the social contract. That is the deal we strike with Leviathan, the government, in order to ensure our safety and security, and for the government to protect us against foreign invading armies, insurgent attacks on our own soil, from our own people, crime, terrorism, disease, starvation, ignorance, one might argue. They don't do a very good job of that. But they're supposed to protect us against things. They're not supposed to protect us against ourselves. They seem a bit obsessed with that. But they're supposed to protect us citizens, against external threats to our wealth, health, and happiness. And obviously, Russia at the moment presents one hell of an existential threat to our way of life, not least because they were instrumental in conning the UK to leave the EU. They conned us. They said that they sent their little minions like Nigel Farage and Aaron Banks and Richard Tice. They sent them out and said, tell you rich people, tell the poor people that if they vote to leave the EU, then they can be rich like you. And that's what they did. They went out, and now Nigel Farage is here 9 years later, still touting the same bullshit rhetoric. Everyone seems to have forgotten that Brexit was a fucking disaster. He just says, "Oh no, it wasn't wasn't my fault." It was obviously Brexit was a no-fault eviction. Funny that. But, you know, it didn't harm him. Farage has made millions. Made absolutely millions out of Brexit. Have you? That was it. Martin, thank you very much for being a member for 5 months. Well done, sir. And if you'd like to become a member, or like Martin and everyone with a little rose after their name, so Witchy Goth, Alistair, Alan, Sarah, Saz, anyone who's got a little rose after their name is a member. If you'd like to join the channel, just press the join button, and you get a snazzy little rose after your name, and you get your name in the credits. Yeah, you've been updated now, so hopefully I've got all 376 of you, or however many it is. It's a lot. And yeah, trying to get AI to alphabeticalize lists isn't as easy as you might imagine. Alistair, just talking about that. Thank you very much for the 5 Politics Social gift memberships. That's really, really kind of you. So now, Aesthetics by Jasmine, CB Unglesby, Billy Ukla, Anthony Lanu, and Cal Crow have now all become members. So welcome new members to the channel. We've got another 5 members. This is very exciting. And Paula, thank you very much. Yes, but defense of the people includes health, education, and protection from poverty. Yes, I think I said that, didn't I? Protection against disease and, you know, being on the streets and stuff like that. Yeah, and you know, protection against ignorance, which is what education is supposed to be there to stop. Francis, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. All I have in my mind is Mark Francois being Don Estelle singing Green Grass. Mark Francois. And then we've got Sarah, thank you very much for £2 super chat. Signed Tan's petition last night. Fantastic. Great stuff. Although it's not Tan's. petition. It's Stella Creasy's petition, but now they have over 40,800 signatures on there. I will share the link in the chat. You can dot over there for a minute, sign up. All you need is your first name, your last name, your email, your postcode, and then it'll like spam you and say, "Hey, do you want to hear from me all the time?" It's like, no, sorry, 38 degrees. I used to be on the 38 degrees mailing site, but it was the only emails I got. Who gets emails these days? It's a crazy way of sending stuff. Leapchin, god damn it, that pesky membership algorithm again. It keeps giving out to people I've never seen in the chat. Lol. Well, it's people who are watching. It's just random, isn't it? It's random people trying to draw them in. They go, oh, I'm a member of the channel now. Ooh, I should pay more attention. Ooh, I should write something in the chat. And Leapshin's Diz is number 3. Who's number 2? Pete's Music. Who's number 1? Who's number 1? I'm scrolling up to try and find who's number 1 is. Oh, there it is. Pete's Music. Pete's Music. Oh yeah, it was blue. I was looking for the white ones, and it was the blue one. Anyway, I was thinking that, says Pete's Music. Well, sometimes it's given to people who, who I know, whose names I've seen before in the chat. Captain Hernia giving me grief, but reading about the fall of Singapore in 1942, so won't ever grumble. My God, Plum Duff, that is... Well, first of all, having a hernia is not very pleasant, but also the fall of Singapore was pretty fucking brutal. That was the Japanese occupation of Singapore. If you ever visit Singapore and go to the museum there, they've got a whole section dedicated to it. And it is, it's a bit grim, to say the least. And now Witchy Goth is number 1, saying it's raining. God damn it. It's not raining here in Durham at the moment. It was this morning, but it's not now. Emails are increasingly the only way to guarantee getting information. Social media is as good as useless when the algorithm has other ideas. Ooh, that's a good point. We should probably talk about that on another show at some point. But yeah, I absolutely agree. The one surefire way that I used to have on Twitter, and I suppose on Blue Sky or to a lesser degree, but was when you did your own thing and got someone quite big to follow you. And once they followed you, it meant you could send them a message if you followed them as well. And that was kind of cool, because that's how I got in touch with a lot of other influencers. So people like Katie Montgomery, people like Super Tansky. I managed to get in touch with them because they followed me on Twitter. Now Twitter, I don't use it anymore. I was booted off a while ago for suggesting that life would be a dream if only Elon Musk just stopped. Stopped. And the algorithm didn't like that. So, oh shit, dropping things. So me playing with things with my hands. Anyway, so let's talk about what we're talking about. Can Britain actually defend itself? Well, not at the moment. Obviously, clearly, because we saw what happened with Brexit and with the Skripal poisoning, which led to the death of a British citizen. We saw with the invasion of Ukraine, the invasion of Georgia in 2008, and then the invasion of Crimea in 2014. Britain did bugger all about all that. Then we had the poisoning, the Salisbury poisonings, which the British government did nothing about. So yeah, we've just said, oh no, it's all right, Russia, you can push us about, we don't mind. And this is not some kind of weird Cold War fantasy I'm talking about here. This is 2025, and this is a serious issue. We have barbarians on the borders of Europe attacking our citizens, attacking European citizens. We have people coming, mercenaries from all over the world, bought by Vladimir Putin, to be meat, to be ground up by the machine guns on the front line. And he's got an almost inexhaustible supply of young men who, for one reason or another, think it might be a good idea to run at machine guns. And there's only so many bullets, you see. That's how the zombies win. There's lots of them. That's how the what are they called in Game of Thrones, the White Walkers, the dead north of the wall. That's how they went. Just sheer numbers. You can only have so many arrows, Legolas. And it's really grim. It's a really grim situation where we have been attacked by a hostile foreign power, and yet there are people in this country who do not believe that Russia is a threat. They think Russia is still our friend. They think that everything about the atrocities they've committed, and the armies committed, and the irregulars working for the Russians have committed in Ukraine, they think it's all propaganda. They think that the murder of Dawn Sturgis is propaganda as well. That's how infected the Brexit brain, the gammon brain, has become in this country. And it's an infection that we need to root out. We need to find some clear medication to give to these people to help them see that, no, mate, Russia's not your friend, you fucking idiot. The Russians wouldn't fucking piss on you if you were on fire. You can't speak Russian. You've got no affinity with Russia. What is this affair with Russia? Why? Why do you think Russia's so awesome now? Oh, because Daddy Putin. You get these gammon people who have got some weird, fucked up daddy issues, and they look at Putin and go, "Ooh, strong man. Ooh, strong man. Take me in your big strong arm, strong man." Thing is, though, Putin's like Rimmer from Red Dwarf. He's just a fucking vending machine repairman. That's what he is. He's just a bureaucrat. He was just some fucking pen pusher from the KGB. That's all he ever was. He's not a fucking strongman. He's not a fucking hero. He's a fucking wimp who decided to surround himself with the likes of the oligarchs like Roman Abramovich. And he said, listen, steal as much as you can from the Russian people and give me a cut. Give me a fifth. And we're golden. And those people protect Putin with everything they've got, because they know that if they don't, and if Putin's out the picture, they won't have anything, because the next guy who comes along is going to throw them all in jail, or worse, throw them out a window. It's the way things go in Russia. And, we're not talking about tanks rolling into Kent here. Let's be sensible. We're talking about cyber attacks. We're talking about subsea sabotage. We're talking about drones. We're talking about disinformation. This grey zone warfare, World War 3.0, or whatever they want to call it. The question of how we think about like defending ourselves, that's one that's been lost, according to Anne-Marie Trevelyan, who I don't normally agree with on things, but I'll agree with her on this one. She's right. Like, we've not really had to think about how to defend ourselves, at least since the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. It's a good 36 years that we've not had to go, oh my God, what if? Well, we should have done, actually. We should have started doing this in 2008 when Russia invaded Georgia and took a third of its land. It took South Ossetia. It took Abkhazia. It just took it. Killed hundreds of Georgians in a war that lasted a week. And the international community just went, eh. When Saddam Hussein tried to invade Kuwait, there was fucking uproar. We had a Gulf War. Why did we not do anything against Russia? Oh, because you got nuclear weapons. All right, mate. Well, now they've got no bombers. But yeah, their nuclear arsenal. We've talked about this before, but I don't buy it, and experts that I've spoken to don't buy it either. So you don't have to take my word for it. It just seems a little bit improbable that Russia actually has active nuclear weapons that it can deploy. A couple of reasons for that. Corruption, the main one, but also, wouldn't they have already done something in Ukraine by now? I love this idea that they risk becoming an international pariah. And it's like, I don't think Russia, in its entire long storied history, has ever given a flying fuck about being an international pariah. Anyway, Day, thank you very much for the £20 super chat. Woo, thank you. Apropos of fuck all, isn't it time we had the politics social anthem? I would suggest Nick Lowe's Peace, Love and Understanding. I can get the studio and muso time for the PS chorus. Oh, thanks very much for that, Day. I don't know. My personal anthem is Ginger by David Devant and his spirit wife. In another life, maybe we're gonna be ginger and free. Oh, it's a dream. But yeah, politics social anthems. Go on, give us your best suggestions for politics social anthems in the chat. Keep it going, and I'll pick out some of the best as and when I see them. And thanks very much for the super chat, my friend. The first one of the morning. So yes, there is the article. I think it's Article 5 that we talk about a lot, isn't it? That's the one that if one country gets invaded, they all get invaded. But one thing we talk about less is Article 3. And this is, and I'll read this, to maintain and develop individual and collective capacity to resist armed attack. And this is the foundation of NATO. It comes before Article 5. You can't help others if you can't defend yourself. And this is something I often say, isn't it? Like if your plane's going down, you got to put the mask on yourself before you can put it on anybody else. You know, you've got to make sure you're all right before you can help somebody else. You've got to make sure that you're actually on the rescue boat before you can pull anyone else out of the water. Otherwise, you'll end up making a bad situation worse. Don't do that. Make sure you're all right. This is why I always say, and we give the Samaritans number out on these shows as well in the description. And the reason for that is you need to look after yourself before you can look after everyone else. And we can all be enraged about what's going on in the world. But if things are affecting you personally, if things are affecting you mentally, then please take a break. Take an absolute break. Do a digital detox. It's really, really good for you to just step away from this kind of shit for a little while. I'm planning on doing this in September. I'm going to be going back to Ginger Island for a couple of weeks in September. And I'm planning to have another one of those digital detoxes that I had when I was there last November, where I just turn up at the boat dock in the morning for me. It's the afternoon for you. And I just go, let's talk about stuff. I don't know what's going on. I love doing that. That was great. That was such a strain off. You know what I really, really liked? When I was on cargo ships traveling around the world, there was no internet. There was no internet. There was no way of knowing what was happening, what was going on in the rest of the world. The reason why I found out about the capture by pirates of the United States ships at Alabama, that was dramatized in the movie Captain Phillips with Tom Hanks. The reason I found out about that while on a cargo ship was that it was radioed through on the morning report. They have like they had a printed out on a dot matrix printer, 24 pin dot matrix printer. You know the ones. Like this, and came up with like a briefing for captains, who were, working on the line that I was on, and that's how we found out about the taking of the Alabama. When I was on a ship going from the Solomon Islands, Honiara in the Solomon Islands, or maybe it was Nauru. No, it was Honiara. Honiara on the Solomon Islands. I was traveling down past the barrier reef. We were too far away to actually see the reef, and you don't want to put your boat anywhere near the reef, to be honest with you. Traveling down to Melbourne, that was it. Radio silence for like, I don't know, a week or something. It took a long time. It took a good few days to get down there. And that was when Gaddafi died. I didn't even find out Gaddafi was dead till like a week after he died. That was quite cool. Also, when I was in Honiara. So Honiara is the capital of the Solomon Islands, and it's got this dramatic site because it kind of rises up into a mountain, into a hill behind the dock. So you get onto the dock and you go up. And I went out partying, and we weren't supposed to be leaving until the afternoon of the next day. So I thought, hey, let's go out and party. Ended up staying over at someone's place, and as you do, and I got woke up in the morning because we were that close to the port because they were setting off the ship's horn, and the friend who was staying with said, "Graham, is that your boat making that noise?" And I'm like, shit, because they do that when they're pulling out of port. I'd like grab me stuff, put it in my bag and leg it, like run to the port. And they're like taking up the gangplank and I like jump onto the gangplank at the last second. Take me to Australia. That was quite fun. Paula Thomas, the third reason being basic physics. Says Paula, yeah, absolutely can't disagree with that. And Alistair, thank you very much, Alistair Kern, being very generous this morning. I'm with the members, the new members that we have. We also have £10 super chat. Thank you, Alistair. As I stated before, Waste Monster needs a social contract with its people. Also, what Ukraine have done just shows how a drone attack will happen. Graham, love the Ginger Island, lives lives. Yes, Alistair, we're going to try and decamp over there. I've been invited to the Toronto International Film Festival in Toronto, obviously, in September. So what I'm planning to do, since that's an invite, is then there's like really insanely cheap flights to, not to Ginger Island, but to Costa Rica. I found one for like £134 one way. So just to be clear, it is cheaper to fly from Toronto to San Jose, Toronto in Canada to San Jose in Costa Rica than it is for me to get a return ticket to London on the train. That is madness. Anyway, yeah. So Tobias Elwood has said that the era of the last 3 decades of relative peace is over. And again, don't like agreeing with the Tory, but he's kind of right. And at the moment, the UK cannot meet its Article 3 obligations, which isn't just embarrassing. I mean, it's dangerous. And the reason why we can't meet those obligations is because successive governments, but particularly the government we had between 2010 and 2024, the Tory government, 14 years of Tory government, did major cutbacks on our armed services and our defence systems. And you had people like Boris Johnson saying, well, you know, the days of tank warfare are over. Are they, Boris? Are they, dickhead? No. No, there's tanks in Ukraine, you know. Dickhead. Got another super chat come in. Rosie, for the lovely Graham. You are fab. Oh, thank you, Rosie. You're fab as well. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. Yay. Love getting stuff. Julian Fraser has said that our obsession with expeditionary warfare, i.e. Iraq and Afghanistan, has left the home front undefended. And Lord West has said the protection of our home base has been forgotten. So what are the actual threats? Let's talk about the main one for me, which is cyber attacks. And this sort of blends into disinformation campaigns, but we'll come into that in a moment. So the UK's own the security officer is a guy called Vincent Devine, who said we should be extremely worried. Russia and China have developed capabilities more rapidly than expected. Talk about being caught sleeping on your fucking swords. Cyber attacks can shut down the grid, shut down the electricity grids. It can shut down hospitals, air traffic, satellites. No bullets needed, right? This is cyber warfare. I mean, you could argue what's happened to Marks and Spencer's, which has cost them £300 million so far. This data breach, and that it's going to cost them more than that in the long run because so many customers have had their data stolen. People's credit card details, I think. I don't know. I mean, allegedly. But there could be knock-on effects for M&S for years to come. And 99% of UK internet data passes through subsea cables or submarine cables, as we often call them. If you knock those out, that would lead to an economic collapse of the UK because we don't use paper money as much anymore and everything is financial transactions. And if you can't get onto your PayPal, you can't get into your bank accounts, your credit card doesn't work because MasterCard and Visa are American companies. That information's got to be shifted at light speed around the planet. That is a worry, and this worry about our undersea infrastructure sabotage, the potential for this, John Healey, who's our defense secretary, he said that they're continuing monitoring of all Russian ships in UK waters, which is good. However, and also, don't forget, even the fastest ships go really slow. Okay, they go really fucking slow. Like, you'll be on a ship and you'll be like, "Oh, how fast are we going?" And the skipper will say, "We're going at 8 knots," and you're like, "How fast is that?" And they go, "It's 8 nautical miles an hour." 8 nautical miles? Oh my god! Okay, what's that across land? It's about 10 miles an hour. Oh, cool. But even these big ships, I mean, a lot of them go at like 20 miles an hour, if that. So, although the bigger ships, the sort of nuclear-powered ships, can go a lot faster. They can go at like 40 miles an hour, but it's still not that fast. The real worry for me is submarines. They're a lot harder to monitor. They're a lot harder to notice in the sea. We have got sonar obviously deployed around Britain, but a lot of the infrastructure is old. It's ailing. It's not up to scratch. So this is a particularly worrying prospect that a submarine or a Russian submarine could come down into the channel. Maybe I don't think they'll get that far, but they could, presumably. And the thing is, with the submarine cables, they have to be marked on charts. If you're taking a boat over the channel or along the channel or through the channel, your Admiralty chart will actually list all of the submarine cables on it, so you don't put your fucking anchor down anywhere near a submarine cable. Yeah, and that's also a worry. You could have like accidental sabotage, pretend it's accidental, where you pay a ship, a ship that's registered in, I don't know, Maduro or in registered in Monrovia or somewhere, or even Panama City, and you pay them to drop their anchor at a place where to drop and drag their anchor, a place where there's a submarine cable. Could happen. And then they say, "Whoopsies, didn't mean to do that," but you've knocked out, I mean, there are other cables. I mean, I don't think they're going to take them all out at once, but still a worry. Paula, thank you very much for the £5 super chat, which shows just how out of touch Boris was. Trenches affected only 2 wars, the Boer War and World War I. Well, trenches as well. I mean, trenches were used in the Iran-Iraq war in the 1980s, and there's trench warfare going on right now in Ukraine. Think about it. Trident missiles for the UK, subs are rented in the US. Warhead is British. Yeah, that's another really good point made by Gert DK. Excellent point made by that about that. And also, you've got the thing of like, oh well, let's not use these undersea cables. Let's instead use satellites. But we haven't got the satellite network up that we need to. And so whose satellite network would we be using? Oh, Elon Musk's, the guy who's happy to work for Putin or Trump or just any tyrant that, makes him feel special. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this in recent days. I don't know how I get time to think, but sometimes, I've got to have a shower. And I was thinking about the fact that there are so many sort of right-wing channels that are all about self-help and for men, young men in particular, to say, you need to go to the gym and bulk yourself up and then you'll get a woman. I think there is a space. And you can disagree with me, and please do in the chat if you think I'm dead wrong on this, but I think there's definitely a space for left-wing men who are successful, and maybe some women as well, to do videos about how you can improve your life that don't involve going to the gym. Because there are certain people, myself included, who, we're doing all right as far as things go, got a fairly successful channel going here, thanks to you. I couldn't do it without you, so thank you. But, and I don't go to the gym. It's not really my thing. And do you know what I prefer doing? Do you know what muscle I prefer to work out? This one. My brain muscle. I like learning stuff. I like finding stuff out. And I think the appeal of something like QI, where it's like, everything you know is wrong. What's the capital of France? Psh, Paris. No, it's not really Paris. Woo, woo. Oh, I always thought it was. How many moons does the Earth have? 1. Oh, no, woo, woo. And that satisfaction of knowing that secret knowledge, I think there's something to be tapped into with that when we talk about self-improvement for young men, especially young men who might want to impress ladies or other men. And you say, well, here's how I impressed my then object of my affection when I was in school. I did really well in my A-levels. That's how I did it. I learned to play Bohemian Rhapsody on the piano. Yeah, that's that kind of thing. Yeah, encouraging that kind of learning. I think it could appeal to people. I think it could appeal to young men who are angry at the fact that, the world not delivering all the things that they were promised by the superhero films they watch. Anyway, back to Russia. So, the other worry is the drone swarms. What happened over the weekend in Russia, where these hundreds, over 1,000, I believe, on 5 different sites. I said 4. Apparently, there were 5 different sites. Got these drones come in and smash stuff up. The UK has no active air defence over London, apparently. A major swarm drone attack in London would cripple the UK economy for some time. And look at Ukraine versus Russia. Thousands of drones coming from Russia and from Ukraine, targeting refineries, power plants, etc. That tech can be brought online. And if it's just a case of driving a truck near Heathrow Airport and then deploy the drones, that's not that as an operation wouldn't be out of the realms of feasibility for the Russians. Well, it might be because they haven't got the money for it, but or the Iranians or for the Americans or any country that hates us and our way of life. So this is a hell of a worry as well. We need these early defense systems put in place, anti-drone infrastructure. We also need to combat the Russian disinformation campaigns. The first thing we could do is arrest Nigel Farage, the bollocked-faced foghorn of ignorance, who is the biggest Russian disinformation campaign. He is a one-man Russian disinformation campaign. But Emily Thornberry has warned about Russia's staggeringly reckless disinformation ops, which includes stuff like anti-vax things. They don't want people in the West getting vaccinated because they want the weakest amongst us to die. Because they're eugenicists. Like all anti-vaxxers, they believe that it's okay for their kid not to be vaccinated because if they give measles to a kid who can't be vaccinated and they go blind or they go deaf, like what happened to my partner, or they die, well, that's their own fault for not having strong enough genes, isn't it? Survival of the fittest. That's what anti-vaxxers believe in, and you're going to have a very, very tough time convincing me otherwise. In France, they've got something called Viginum, something like that. Anyway, that's France's digital defense unit, and the UK has no equivalent to this. Finland has something similar. Russia targets elections, elite opinions, so it gets people who went to private school and gets them on side and gives them loads of money because private school people eat money. That's how they stay alive. They have to eat £1 million a day, or they shrivel up and turn to dust. And also public trust. They have eroded public trust. How many people have you heard in the last few years say, all the politicians are all the same? Or the power of false equivalence. Oh, well, yeah, you got to say that, but it's a bit like this, isn't it? The both sidesism bullshit that the BBC like to trot out, where they go, oh, well, we're going to have a weatherman or weatherwoman on to tell us what the weather's going to be like, and then we're going to have someone who disagrees with them for no reason. They're not right, but we need them on the show for balance. Also, whataboutism, which is huge, which was invented by the Soviets. Whataboutism was invented, the concept was invented by the Soviets, because people will say, well, things are a bit shit. My family are starving. I just had to queue up for 3 days for a lump of moldy bread. And they're like, yeah, but what about what's happening in America for black people who have got no rights? And the Russians went, oh, yeah, that's true. when we complain about what's happening in Israel. Well, what about what's happening in Sudan? Yeah, what about it? Like, we can be upset and concerned about more than one place at once. Doesn't mean that we can't have compassion for a group of people who are being attacked, having their life torn apart, having their bodies torn apart in some cases. It doesn't mean that we should stop having compassion for them because there's some other people who also need our compassion. The least we can do is be aware of it, as I often say. And the forces up against us are like 10 years ahead of us. We haven't got off the benches. We often talk about how Labour comms are stuck in the 20th century. Our entire government structure is stuck in the fucking 18th century. Like, it's absolutely maddening to me the way that the Parliament, the way things are set up in Parliament. It's not a 9-to-5 job. I mean, Tony Blair did some moves to make Parliament a bit more palpable for new parents, but at the same time, being an MP and being a parent is very, very difficult. But here's the thing. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It's only because of the stupid infrastructure that we have in this country. The fact that these politicians, they need a second house in London. Why? There should be hotels that they're put up in. Secure hotels. There should be a lot of them. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Jesus Christ. But, there should be a bunch of hotels that have a government contract. And when the MPs are in town, they get priority on those rooms. That's it. Maybe the hotels are run by the government. And the rest of the time, when the MPs are not in Parliament and they don't need to be in London, those same rooms can be rented out to other people. Just make sure that they don't put bugs in the room and things. Sweep them for bugs. Yovash, thank you very much for the €10. That is very kind of you. I think everyone, male and female, could profit from learning how to fix basic things around the house. Plumbing, masonry, electric, etc. We used to have classes on that in elementary school here. Yovash, that is a brilliant idea. And that's something that YouTube is really, really good for. That's something that YouTube was almost invented for, like how to do something. Annoyingly, when you type in how to do something now into Google, it comes up with a fucking video. That takes 5 minutes to actually get into what you need to know. So you got to skip through it and watch a couple of adverts. And oh my God, it's so annoying when it's just like, you need to turn it left. And you're like, oh, thank you. But yeah, bringing in that kind of like DIY stuff, I think that's a really good idea. So DIY, expanding your knowledge base of the world. Not like necessarily when it comes to expanding your knowledge base. I'm not like, I mean, it might be an idea to sort of put a country or a place or a time or a historical event into context. That might be a good idea. But also like allowing people to think about how they learn and giving people the joy of learning, the joy of finding shit out. Because I get a buzz from it. I get a dopamine hit every time I find something new out that I didn't know yesterday. I know I do. I'm kind of a little bit addicted to the novel, the new, the oh my God, I didn't know that. And I find it exciting and exhilarating. It's a bit like if I meet someone who is smarter than me, I don't find it a threat. I find it exciting. I'm like, oh my God, impart your knowledge about this particular thing to me. I want to know. Whereas I think there's a lot of people who feel threatened by people who are an expert in any given field. You see this in all the climate change denial and all that kind of shit. So yeah, the joy of learning. Just try and get across to young men. It's fun to learn shit. Fun to learn how to do stuff. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Yovash. Learn how to wire a plug. Learn how to fix the bread maker. These things are worth doing. Like, there's so many things around the house that I've fixed myself, and left to most people's own devices, they'll go, "Oh, this isn't working. I'll get a new one." And it's like most of the time, it's something that is so simple to fix, but if you don't know how to fix it, if you don't have to take the thing apart without breaking it, then you're on a highway to Doomsville. Tonya, thank you very much. I am 64 years old, and me and my youngest both had the swine flu jab back in 2009, so I believe I should just be able to choose. Yeah, I mean, you should, but I mean, the people who can't choose are people like my partner who couldn't have the measles vaccine when she was a baby because she might have had an allergic reaction to one of the ingredients in it, which was egg, by the way. It wasn't like anything toxic. And as a result of that, she ended up getting measles at 4 years old, and now she's profoundly deaf, and it affects every aspect of our lives, of her life, and obviously by extension my lives. And if you think that that situation is acceptable, that the people who can't be vaccinated aren't protected by the people who can be vaccinated but choose not to, then I've got no answer to that apart from that sounds like eugenics to me. It sounds very much like survival of the fittest. That, going back to the Spartan thing of throwing the babies that didn't look strong enough off a fucking cliff. It's the equivalent. And it's no surprise to see that the right wing and anti-vaxxers kind of go hand in hand quite a lot of the time. And let's not say right wing necessarily. Let's say authoritarianism, like authoritarians, people who like the idea of being told what to do and telling other people what to do. You meet these people a lot, and you know, I think that if you are going to try and live that life and tell other people what to do, you should be honest. And just say, you know, I just don't like disabled people. I just don't like them. And I think that anyone who I regard as having weak genes should be murdered as a baby because I just don't like them. Just be honest about it. Go on. Tell us what you really think. And if you are going to go down that route, fucking walk the walk as well as talking the talk. Don't vaccinate your own kids like what Robert F. Kennedy did. Get off Kennedy Jr. You know, he vaccinated his own kids, and now he tells other people not to vaccinate their kids. Because he's a model of fucking health, isn't he? Fucking druggy. Anyway, Ori, woohoo, has just sent 5 Politics Social gift memberships. Oh, that is so kind of you, Ori. Thank you. You're awesome. Thank you. We now have, let's have a look. We have Muwuki, DMB. We have Matt. We have Tony Chabanel. We have Alexander Hoy, and we have Tackleberry, who have all been gifted a membership. So welcome. We've got 10 new members now of the Politics Social channel. New content pretty much every day. I sometimes take Saturdays off because I'm knackered. And the tiny little snowflakes in the air so high, are they little angels floating in the sky? Billy says, Sarah, remember the old writing colours, red to red, black to black, blue to bits. What? So I changed the light fitting. I thought I turned the electric off and the fuse box, and then I killed myself when I got an electric shock and went one way on the screwdriver, went onto the wall. Oh my God, Sarah, please don't do the electric. Yeah. Luckily, a light fitting shouldn't have as high a voltage as a plug socket. So if that had been a plug socket, you might have been even worse. But yeah, having electric shock is no fun. I can tell you that from personal experience. But yeah, brown is the live. Brown is the live because it's the colour your pants will go if you touch it. Alistair, another 5 Politics Social gift memberships. Oh, this is too kind. Thank you, Alistair. This is very, very kind of you. I'm going to say thank you. You are the best. Woohoo! Graham forgot to hit the like. Done now. Oh, well, yeah, I can always hit the like. The like is always good. Give us a like on the way out. Or even stay for a little while if you want. We've got Rorskin and Alex Taylor, Parky, Sharon Yoxall, and Askupart, and now all members of the channel. Welcome, new members. 15 new members to this morning. This is very exciting. Members of the channel. You also get your name at the end of the show when I update it. And again, and also you should be able to get access to the Politics Social Discord server. So if you want the invite for that, there's a special post that is only available for members to see, and on that post it has the link, which should work. Light fittings are 1240 volts too. Yeah, but light fittings, sorry, yeah, you're right, but they have a lower fuse rating. So like the fuses for the lights will snap at what, is it a 5 amp fuse or something? But then it's a 15 amp fuse for the household stuff and the sockets, something like that. Anyway, putting your fingers into a light socket is going to hurt. So don't do either. But it'll hurt less than I think putting a fork into a plug socket. I think. You mean amperage? Yes, George. I love having all these pedantic people who like to come on the chat and tell me I was wrong. So I'm going to have a little animation for you. I was wrong. And I accept responsibility. That's something you'll never, ever see Nigel Farage say. Oh, no, he said he was wrong about Russia, didn't he, when Vladimir Putin invaded fucking Ukraine proper? Jesus. Anyway, so what does Britain currently have in terms of defence? We have just 76,000 troops. The target was 82,000. That's still not been met. We have two. We've got 25 working Challenger 2 tanks for the country, for the nation. We have 25 tanks. The RAF has multiple grounded aircraft due to a parts shortage. And also the Royal Navy has only 6 Type 45 destroyers, and they suffer from propulsion difficulties when they're in warm water. We just don't have enough kit, and we don't have enough stockpiles either. We don't have enough bombs. We don't have enough bullets. The UK could only sustain high-intensity combat for 5 days without needing a resupply, which is not going to come from America anymore. We relied so much on America to step in case anything happened to us. And Trump's taken that away from us. So, yeah, we're going to have to spend less money on infrastructure, on welfare, on education, on the NHS, because we've got to spend more money on defense because of Donald fucking Trump. So if you meet someone who likes Donald Trump, can you please remind them of that? Can you tell them that people are suffering in our country as a direct result of him being a horrible twat? Why should we look after Britain? Why should we look after Britain? Well, one of the reasons is because if shit goes down for America, then we were going to come and help you out. But I don't think we are anymore. I get the impression that we wouldn't be so minded to come and help you out if the reason why you'd got yourself into some kind of militaristic bother was that you had invaded your fucking neighbours like a twat. Neighbours who were also part of NATO, in the case of Canada and Greenland. So yes, the supply chains aren't great for our military at the moment. There's no stockpile of essentials for civilian continuity, fuel, food, medicine. And we saw this during the fucking COVID pandemic when there were no fucking masks for the people working in the fucking hospitals because we hadn't stockpiled it and the stuff we did have was out of fucking date. That's what happens when the Tories are in charge. So these are the strategic promises that Keir Starmer made yesterday. He said that he was going to bring in... he got into trouble about this. Got into lots of trouble. Did anyone see Lindsay Hoyle yesterday? Ooh, Hoyle, Boyball, toil and trouble. Hoyle did not like this. Because, like the previous government, Keir Starmer and his friends seem to like to announce things outside of Parliament. And they're supposed to have, under the ministerial responsibility code that was so roundly ignored by the likes of Boris Johnson and Priti Patel, but under the ministerial code of conduct, you're supposed to announce any major policy initiatives or decisions or whatever projects to the House first before mentioning them outside the House. Anyway, but Starmer didn't do that. He mentioned that he was up in Scotland and he said we're going to have some extra submarines. We're going to spend 15 billion on new nuclear warheads, promised 400,000 jobs. Many of them are going to be in weapons supply, not civil resistance. And he reckons we'll reach 2.5% of GDP for defence by 2027. And everyone's saying he's just playing catch up. He also said that within this parliament they'll get up to 3%. So we'll have to wait and see. But Britain has made itself a target. Britain was the first country to send lethal aid to Ukraine, and Russian TV propagandists regularly name the Anglo-Saxons as their enemies. The defense analyst, his anal list, Keir Giles said the UK is ill prepared to defend itself against these attacks or to deal with the consequences if its defences fail. So yeah, Russia's deterrence theory caused just enough chaos to change a country's policy. and don't meet your military aims by invasion, but by coercion. And they can do this by things like psychological warfare, hit hospitals, power, transport, make people suffer until they pressure their own leaders to back off from, say, backing Ukraine. And not just missiles, but think about assassinations, like the assassination of Dawn Sturgis. Well, she died. She was murdered. She was murdered. It wasn't an assassination because it wasn't targeted by the state against her. She was an innocent bystander. It was the Skripals who were attacked, and Litvinenko, who was also attacked by the Russians, who killed him with polonium, which is an incredibly toxic, radioactive material, which killed him. Don't forget, when he died of radiation poisoning, and radiation poisoning is the most horrible thing to die of. He ate apparently some radioactive sushi, and the best way I've heard describe what nuclear active stuff, or atomically active stuff does, radioactive stuff, right, is imagine millions and millions of tiny bullets coming out of this thing. So if it's a lump of sushi and you eat it, suddenly in your tummy you have millions and millions and millions of tiny bullets all shooting out in all directions. And they're going to cause a lot of little holes in your structure, in your molecular structure. And that's what happens. That's why people die of radiation poisoning. The radiation burns. It's these little bullets. They come from the sun as well, which is why people burn in the sun. It's these little tiny bullets. I know it's not quite the same, and there's particles and there's rays and gamma rays and all that kind of stuff. But generally, if you just want a sort of good idea of why radiation fucks people up so much, it's because it's on the atomic level. It's bullets flying out in all directions, very, very fast, almost the speed of light. So it's gonna fuck you up. Yeah, but he was killed with polonium. Also, think about like arson, sabotage, disinformation, media hacks, and then Russian spy ships have been seen in the Channel. The UK has admitted that they do pose a risk to our cable infrastructure, and this isn't hypothetical. This is happening. We've seen this over the last 11 years now, probably since the invasion of Crimea and of the Donbass region, where Russia was just like, fuck it, we can do what we like. There's no guardrails. No one's going to stop us. No one can stop us now. They realize that they have a privileged place as a permanent member of the UN Security Council, and they can veto anything that the rest of the 192 members of the UN want to do. If 192 members of the UN vote to put sanctions on Russia or even condemn Russia for the invasion of Ukraine, Russia, one country on its own, can veto that. That's a fucking mad system that we have in the UN. It is crazy. It is crackerjack. It is just the maddest system I could possibly imagine. It is a bit like getting a school bully into the headmaster's office and saying, would you like to be punished? And the school bully says no. And the headmaster goes, well, nothing I can do about this. And the school bully goes off to bully more children and fuck them up for the rest of their lives. So, does more defence spending actually make us safer? Well, according to Professor Karen Bell of the University of Glasgow, defence spending neglects the real threats like climate breakdown and underfunded services. The UK military carbon footprint is 60 entire countries worth. And the Astute-class submarines, the cost of them has ballooned from £4.3 billion to £11 billion. Dreadnought missile submarine project is massively over budget and behind schedule. And aircraft carriers have been deployed in the Indo-Pacific, nowhere near Europe. And according to Karen Bell, she says, healthcare, education, renewables are needed to build long-term national resilience. Now, you know the way I think. I'm quite a pluralist on lots of things. I don't see anything as a zero-sum game. I would like more money to be spent on defence, but more money to be spent on also protecting us against climate change as well. It's another thing the government need to protect us against: rising tides and polluted air. Dickheads firing polluted air out of the back of their ship wagons all over the place because they're like noisy cars that pollute, because they think it's funny. They think it's funny to pollute them. Dickheads. Defense spending ranks 70 out of 100 in job creation per billion spent. Public services rank much higher. One of the best ways you can spend money as a government is public transport. Public transport, bang for you, but make it free. Make it free. Put really good public transport in every town, every city, every community, every fucking village. Get really good transport links and the economy will grow. Every fucking time. This has been done everywhere on the planet since the beginning of time. You put in good transport links and the economy will grow. You take away those transport links and your economy will be fucked, which is pretty much what happened in the UK. Where we decided to get rid of all the trains and replace them with motorways instead. So yeah, arms build-up often escalates conflict rather than deterring it. But I mean, I see this as a defensive thing. I really do feel like we need to have better defenses in the UK at the moment, because the idea that the Russians could launch a drone strike against us in the same way that the Ukrainians did a drone strike against them terrifies me. You get some lorries with some containers, 20-foot containers in the back, and you park them near Manchester Airport, London, Heathrow Airport, Gatwick, and then all at the same time they all fly out and fuck things up, blow up some planes on the on the tarmac. You know, you'll knacker the British economy for years to come. And if you've got a state behind it, I don't think a terrorist group could pull off something that audacious. But I mean, a state could, Russia could, Iran could feasibly do it. And if Ukraine can pull this off in a time of warfare and heightened vigilance by the Russians for attacks, then if it can happen there during a war, it'll definitely happen here. Ivan, thank you. Ivan, thank you very much. I sent a message on Friday. Oh, sorry, mate. I didn't get back to you, did I? Sorry. I now have a double DWP whammy. Not only am I having to challenge a universal credit decision with regards to my bank account, I also have a PIP review. Fucking hell, Ivan. That's really shit. Thank you for the super chat, mate. That's really kind of you. I'll get back to you. Sorry, I've been really shit with getting back to people this weekend. I've got loads of things to organise. I'm supposed to be going to Liverpool tomorrow, and I haven't got my fucking ticket yet. I haven't sorted out where I'm staying. I haven't sorted out whether I can actually do my show in the mornings. Yeah, sorry, Ivan. My ADHD is kicks in sometimes, and if I get like too many messages coming up on my phone, I end up not getting back to everyone. So sorry about that. And I want to echo what Veg Pie says. Sorry to hear that. Sending hugs. That is really, really shit. I hope you've got the support network that you need to be able to get through all this shit. But we're here for you. And obviously, if you Ivan, you've got access to the Discord server. If you don't, I will send you a link to that via WhatsApp later. Send Ivan link. But yeah, linky link. Okay, cool. Right. So where were we? Most of the UK spend on defense also, here's a point, it goes to US suppliers. Don't really want to be giving money to America right now. You know, there's a little part of me that just thinks America can fuck off. Quite. Anyway, so we need some. We need to have some thoughts, like some out of the box thinking that I think we could really do with. I think that we should have resilience. I think that we should have. I like this idea. It's not my idea of a civic resilience corps. Right. This is where you train civilians in cyber defense, medical response, and infrastructure repair. They can mobilize fast in case of blackouts, attacks, sabotage, and link schools and the NHS and local councils into preparedness plans. Build the UK equivalent of Viginum, the French the French system of combating dis and misinformation on the internet. Regulate and secure UK social media platforms against foreign bot networks. This is something that we should have done fucking years ago. We need to do it now. I know you can't put the genie back in the bottle in all cases, but you can definitely do a lot more than they are doing at the moment. And fund independent media watchdogs to detect disinformation. Why is it left to like some volunteers for bylines or for the private, people working on the private eye to point this stuff out. There should be a government unit whose job it is to detect disinformation and make sure that people understand that it's wrong. And you know what? Make it cross-party. Don't just make it Labour. Get some Tories in there. Get a refucker in there if you want. Get some Greens. Get some Lib Dems. Get some Plaid Cymru. This affects all of us. Get the SNP. Get them all in there, so no one can claim that it's just Labour fucking politics. It's Labour propaganda. No, this is cross-party. Because you got dickheads calling up the radio saying, I don't believe anything that Keir Starmer says. And it's like, so have I gone out of focus? Focus. So Keir Starmer said, the sun will rise tomorrow. This is the example given. They were saying, no, I wouldn't believe him. Whereas if Farage said something mad like Saturn's exploded, they'll believe him. Okay, cool. Put someone from Farage's group in the fucking disinformation gang and say, well, they're in this disinformation gang as well. And yeah, we need to defend the digital realm. And also, I would like to see not just the use of social media becoming more responsible, but also let's have some British social media networks. Why not? Friends Reunited. Was that American? I don't know. That was the precursor to Facebook. Isn't that what we want? That's what I think we want. A British version. Just for us. The Chinese have their own version of Facebook. They have their own version of WhatsApp. Why can't we have that? Why not? I mean, you can link it to other countries, but just it's a thing that we're British and we're part of our, Brit chat or whatever you want to call it. Sounds a bit too much like shit chat, doesn't it? Are you chatting shit at me? I love chatting shit as an expression. It sounds like an underground railway station. This service will be stopping at chatting shit on the way to North Endon and all the way to Cockfosters. Anyway, so we also need to harden, our infrastructure. We need to audit and secure all our undersea cables, internet junctions, satellite uplinks. We need to build redundancy into the system, into our electrical grid and into our water supply, something that is sadly lacking because we privatised those motherfuckers, didn't we? Like a bunch of dicks. We also need to stockpile critical medicines and food, as I've already said. We need to move away, I feel, from sort of what we call like nuclear fetishism. The nuclear threat is a bit mad, isn't it? Like, if it does happen, then it's all over anyway, so who gives a fuck? But I don't think we should get rid of Trident necessarily. But things like Trident and aircraft carriers cost a fucking fortune, and for a fraction of that cost, you could put together drones, cyber defense, counter sabotage, and digital warfare teams. And link the strategic defense review to the climate adaptation plan. I think that's something that really needs to be done. And the problem is that the governments ignore defense until it's too late every time. The reason why is because if you foil a terrorist plot, that doesn't win elections. It doesn't win elections to foil a terrorist plot because the terrorist plot didn't happen. Do you know what wins elections? Letting the terrorist plot happen, letting dozens, maybe hundreds of civilians die, and then going after the perpetrators. That wins elections more than, because people can see that actually happening in real time and they get excited about it. And it's a lot easier to solve a crime when it's what happened, after the event than trying to solve a crime before it takes place and stopping it. And then you get no kudos really for stopping that crime from committing. The dog that didn't bark. The curious incident of the dog in the nighttime, which was that the dog didn't bark. It's a Sherlock Holmes story. He knows because the murderer was known to the dog. Because if it had been a stranger, the dog would have barked. You see, but yeah, Also, defense, not just stopping bad things from happening doesn't necessarily win elections. Also, long-term investment doesn't win elections either. People can't see that happening in real time, and people have short attention spans and short memories. Short-term political wins are an easier way of winning in the next election. And we made the same mistake with COVID. We were caught unprepared, caught with our pants down, and our masks off. And now we face even more invisible threats than COVID, which is pretty fucking invisible. And Starmer wants to seem defense. He wants to seem tough on defense during Trump's second term, but they run risks of repeating Tory procurement disasters, and Labour need to prove that they can manage national security without turning the UK into a military state. And, the thing is, what if Britain is attacked? And look, I know I come across as someone who might not prepare for things very much in advance. And you're right, I probably do cram at the last minute. It's just the way I do things. But that doesn't mean that I can't achieve stuff. It doesn't mean that I don't put any plans in place before I do things. It doesn't mean I don't put any thought into these shows or into things that I've written or places I've been or my ventures around the world. I do. I really do. I put a lot of thought into it. I sometimes write it all down and write down my plans and everything. And, the idea of just reacting to things kind of upsets me on I don't know, it upsets me on different levels because it scares me and it kind of annoys me. I find it like an irritant that people whose job it is to prep us for shit like this are just not prepared. What if a coordinated cyber attack by Russia shuts off power to London? Like what happened in Spain. I don't know if that was a cyber attack, but the entire country of Spain went offline. No internet, no cash machines, no mobile signal. What if a drone swarm hits Heathrow? No planes in or out. That would affect our food supply chains. What if a Russian agent poisons our water supply? I mean, Thames Water are doing a great job of that themselves without any Russian interference, I don't think. But, they could do all this without any military activity coming at us. We really need to step up our plans and look into these scenarios. Because, like I say, when I'm prepping for stuff, especially if I'm going out and going on an adventure or something, I'm like, a lot of it is what if? What if I don't make that train? What if I don't make that bus? What if that bus crashes? What am I going to do? How am I going to raise the alarm? What if I get arrested? Now, luckily, when I was in Congo and I got arrested, I had a second phone because I'd been arrested before and I knew that they would the first thing they'll do would take my phone off me. So having a little burner phone in my pocket with a British SIM in it that had just enough credit to send a couple of text messages to Twitter to say, help, I've been arrested, might have saved my life because I was prepped for it. Be prepared. Motto of the Boy Scouts, which are just the Scouts now because they let girls in. Oh, God, it's so woke. But yes, if the price of doing nothing is incalculable, you could see the absolute tanking of the British economy as a result of a cyber attack or some kind of what do they call it, like a mixed media attack, something like that. And this sort of, you could envisage a situation, a scenario in which Britain's invulnerability is absolutely fucking shredded in the space of a few hours. And so the big question is, can Britain realistically defend itself without US support? The answer right now, right this instance, as we are taping this, not that we use tapes anymore, but while we're streaming this, is no. We can't. We're really up shit creek without the US and without our NATO brothers and sisters. Now, there's 32 members of NATO, and 31 of them are not America. Bear that in mind. Please bear that in mind. I think that the world will survive, and we will survive without America. And I think we're going to have to, quite frankly, because the poison that Donald Trump and his half-cut acolytes are putting into the bloodstream of Uncle Sam is going to take a generation to cure. It's going to take a generation to fix all the shit that motherfucker has done. They were careless people, Tom and Daisy. They broke things and allowed and let other people clean up their fucking mess. I'm paraphrasing. Fighting for Strangers. Steel Eye Span, cracking tune. Are we talking about what could be our theme tune? Benefit and Works online forum for a wealth of help for people on many benefits, including Universal Credit, ESA, and PIP. Neither the EU nor the UK needs the US help them to defend themselves. Job, I think we do at the moment. I think right this moment, I would argue that we do need the US in ways like they're the people who own our fucking nuclear warheads or whatever. However that breaks down. We've got US air bases here. Isn't it mad that there are hundreds of US bases, both naval and air bases, all over the world? No other country has an air base or a naval base in the USA. Funny that. But what America's done is it's made itself part of an interdependent ring of protection against threats from usually Russia, usually from Moscow, but from other places as well. And they have made themselves indispensable and then done that thing that some psychos do, of make yourself indispensable and then fuck off on holiday. And just leave everyone else behind to go, shit, what do we do now? The indispensable person that made themselves indispensable by saying, I can do it, don't worry, no, I'll handle that, I'll do that, no worries, I'll do that. For the last 50 years, now finally, 70 years, 80 years, has now finally, said, fuck this, I can't be bothered with it anymore. And so we have got to start thinking about how we spend money. And just to wrap up on this subject, I can only say what I would do, and I would have an investment. Not like it doesn't have to be a massive investment. We're not talking about infrastructure here. We're talking about training. We need a cybersecurity hub that actively seeks out disinformation and misinformation, and we need a law that says when disinformation and misinformation in this time of war is put out on people's platforms like Zuckerberg's or that fucking Musk creep, we can sue them. We can sue them for putting out misinformation that is read by anyone in this country. If they don't like it, take their platforms and fuck off. Simple as that. Simple as that. Jupp says the EU members will spend more than double than Russia did in 2024, more than 326 billion compared to less than 150 billion. If that isn't enough, the problem is not the money, but how we spend it. Jupp, couldn't agree more. And that's why I'm saying that stuff that we can do now to combat disinformation, misinformation, have an investigation into the Brexit fraud referendum, have that open process where we go, right, where did this money come from? And people who are working for the Russians, actively working for the Russians, like Nigel Farage, should be put on trial and hopefully put in jail, with all the evidence that they're working for Putin. They're not working in Britain's interests in any way, shape or form. We've seen clearly over the years. So a good song to dedicate to Refuck and Tory Wankers from the Heart by Psycho Stick, says Amy Walker. And then we've got a theme song idea, Magical Mystery Tour, or the theme from Rainbow. Oh, I like the theme from Rainbow. I think my personal theme, my national anthem for Ginger Island is Ginger by David Devant. But I think for my personal theme, it would have to be the theme from The Littlest Hobo, starring London, the dog. There's a voice keeps on calling me. Anyway, every stop I make a new friend. Yeah, I'd like that to be my theme tune as I wander along the streets. Do you know what would be good? Do you know what would be good for this channel? Right, I'm just gonna put this out there. The theme from Cheers. Yeah. Sometimes you got to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Oh, come on. That's. Well, I think we'll get into copyright violation territory if I do that. Theme tune, I Feel Pretty from the West Side Story soundtrack. Love it. Pause when agitated. Don't let the stupid rub off on you. Yeah, good plan. I like Kind Eyes. Fuck a Proud Boy. It's an angry song. Maybe tomorrow I'll want to settle down. What a song. I know there's people around my age who are getting it right in the feels right now. Right in the feels. What a tune. What a TV show. It's just a dog. Just turned up, did nice things, and then it was like the A-Team, but it was a dog. The 80s were fucking brilliant. They had Manimal. In the 80s, they had Manimal. It was about a guy who could turn into animals. They had Knight Rider. It was about a talking car. It was about a man's relationship with his talking, sassy, female-voiced AI car. It's just fucking great. And there was an evil version of that car called Car. Then the 80s were a wild time. I love the fact that the 80s had like these mad ideas and they just ran with them. Now everything's going to be proven in the focus group. It's got to be a spin-off. It's got to be... Andor could have been its own TV show in its own right. That was nothing to do with Star Wars. But everyone would have said, it's a bit like Star Wars. You say, well, there's got no Jedis in it. The fact that it's in the Star Wars universe, I think it's cool, and it's great that they made some like adult stuff, adult-orientated stuff. Not that kind of adult stuff. Steady on. Steady on, Han Solo. Backdoor. Huh? Good idea. The adult-orientated stuff, which was great. But it didn't need to be in the Star Wars universe. But it had to be in order for it to get made. And I think that's sad. I think that's like Mando, the Mandalorian. That didn't need to be set in the Star Wars universe. It's just Shogun Assassin. It's Shogun Assassin set in space. And as you know, as I keep saying, any idea is better if it's set in space. Shogun Assassin is about a fucking samurai who goes around with a baby in a pram and baby cart the river Styx and has to go and kill people in quite graphic ways by chopping their arms off with incredibly bright red blood for some reason. It was a big thing in the 80s. Mysterious Cities of Gold. That's a contender. That's a contender for best theme tune. But you got to have the voiceover at the beginning. And Ulysses 31. Ulysses. Yes. And Jace and the Wheeled Warriors. Jason and the Wheelies? Was that what it was called? No, it was Shorten and the Wheelies. Shorten and the Wheelies. 80s was the peak of TV series, and in the last years, things are looking up. Andor, Murderbot, etc. Gummy bears bouncing here and there. Ulysses 31 absolutely rocked. It was brilliant. So Ulysses 31, it was French-Japanese, wasn't it? It was Ulysses 31, Belle and Sebastian, Mysterious Cities of Gold. That was another one that they made. D'Artagnan and the Three Muskehounds. I think that was made by the same animation company. It was a French-Japanese collaboration. D'Artagnan and the Three Muskehounds. One for one and all for one. That was cool as well. Praise You. Oh, thanks. Thanks very much, Veg Pie, for praising me. Oh, you mean the Fatboy Slim song? What? Jamie and the Magic Torch for best song. No, Ski Sunday. No doubt about it. Fucking Ski Sunday. You're doing something and you need a lift. Listen to the theme from Ski Sunday. It's just fucking magnificent. I'm fighting for a sunrise I will never see, says Harry Flashman. The actual quote is, I burn my life for a sunrise I will never see. What do I sacrifice? Everything. Brilliant. Goosebumps. Luthien. Right. Okay. I'm going to just jump over to the papers for the moment. Papers. We've got the Times here with the explosion, the fucking eruption of Etna. Look at this motherfucker blow. Look at that crazy fucking volcano. Not fucking around. There you go. Doing a Vesuvius. It's Mount Etna in Sicily. Hello, Etna. I've climbed up Mount Etna. I've also climbed up Mount Vesuvius. I'll have you know. It's really easy. It's a very easy climb because they're a volcano. If you want one of the easiest climbs to a very high mountain, go to Kilimanjaro because it is a volcano. Volcanoes are easy climbs, whereas Everest is a difficult, well, fairly difficult climb. K2 is even harder because that's a mountain that's been pushed up by tectonic activity. But volcanoes tend to just be a gentle incline to the top. What's the top called? The caldera, something like that. What's it called? Someone tell me the name of the thing. Windmills in my mind. Noel. Fuck, what? Who sang that? Fucking someone. Noel Harrison. Thank you, brain. Windmills on my mind, which was on the Thomas Crown Affair, and there was a cover version that was used for the last episode of season 2 of Severance, and to great effect. Always been one of my favourite songs, Windmills of My Mind. My dad used to love that song. There was like 3 songs from the 50s and 60s that I really loved as a kid. It was that, Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues, and Procol Harlem's Whiter Shade of Pale. Those 3 songs, that I always found them kind of like, they were like a little bit creepy, and they were like a little bit dark, but like beautiful. There was like a beautiful darkness about them all. And I loved the way that the words all just fitted together nicely. Didn't understand what they meant, but as a kid. But yeah, I loved those. They were like my 3 go-to songs. And I know you're going to think, Graham, you bastard, you're from Liverpool. One of those should have been the Beatles. And yeah, but I kind of put the Beatles in a different category. That's just me. Just me. Anyway, tax rises on looms? What? Stop you guild of loomsters. Stop it. Stop unweaving the fabric of reality. Tax rises loom to put Britain on war footing. Threat from new weapons and mass destruction. Bigger army and reservists promised. Oh, not great, is it? 4th man arrested over Starmer's fires. And embrace the future of AI. Doctors and nurses urges Blair. Why is Tony Blair still talking? Who put 50p in the idiot? Shut up, Tony Blair. We don't care what you got to say. You've had a chance. You are Prime Minister for 10 fucking years. You've had your chance. Just simmer down. Simmer down, mate. Simmer down. Come on. Daily Fail here. Terrible day. A professor at the Priory told me you're a danger to your children. The memoir, everyone's talking. I'm not talking about it. Fuck off. Tory warnings over backdoor blasphemy law. As a man who burned Quran is convicted of a public order offence. Yes, I think if you burn a Quran, you should be convicted of a public order offence because you're only doing it to cause public disorder. That's the only reason why anyone would burn a Quran. It's a disgusting thing to do. It's people's religious text. Just have some fucking respect. And that's what these anti-woke knobheads are all about. They're all about not respecting things. Not respecting other people, not respecting other people's beliefs. I do. I am an atheist, and I will, make that very clear. And I do think the whole thing's very silly. But it's people's sacred beliefs. I'm not going to go around ripping up fucking copies of the Torah. I'm not going to go around burning copies of the Bible, or even the Book of Mormon. He did this to cause offense to the level that people will kick off, and he did that on purpose because he wants people to kick off because then he can go, told you they were violent, as opposed to football fanatics and violent offenders, all of which you vote for refuck if they can. New search for Maddie near prime suspect's old home. So that's Madeleine McCann, who has been missing now since 18 fucking years. Geez, 2007 she went missing in Portugal. Every parent's absolute nightmare, and I feel sorry for the parents. I really do. They fucked up. They will know every morning when they wake up and the brain kicks in that they have fucked up. Every night as they lay awake, they'll know that they fucked up. They left their kids in a hotel bedroom thinking they were safe, went to a restaurant over the road when they were on holiday, and the absolute worst thing that could ever possibly happen to a fucking family, or to parents, actually fucking happened to them. Their kid got stolen from their fucking hotel room. And I hate all the conspiracy theories about this, and I hate the way that the parents have been absolutely lambasted in social media for this one fuck up, because, I mean, it is a thing that I wouldn't do as a step parent. However, Our parents used to do shit like that all the time. Our parents' generation didn't think twice about making us walk home from school when we were 7 years old. They didn't think twice about leaving us alone in a camper van while they went off to the pub down the road. They just didn't think twice about it. It was just what they did back in the 70s and 80s when there were a lot more predators on the streets because boomers, not all boomers, clearly, but some boomers decided that they would be psychopaths. They don't have as many psychopath boomers anymore because they're too old. They're too old to psychopath, I'm afraid. Digging a big hole, digging a massive hole in your basement to throw women in it's a bit of effort, Put your back out. Anyway, so not all boomers. No, clearly. Not all boomers are psychopaths. Right. The Mirror. Here we have Brooklyn. I don't know who that is. And then we've got Keir Starmer, who's doing his Tommy Cooper impression. He's like, just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Battle plan. PM promises to build armor-clad nation, but at what cost? What is the cost? Imagine doing a whole article about what the cost would be to us. What would be Oh, okay. I just did that, didn't I? New Maddie search. German cops target land near chief suspect's old house in Praia de Luz. So back to the Guardian over here. How Mr. Beast became the world's biggest YouTube star. By doing this weird smile. Look at his weird smile. Can I do his weird smile? He smiles like this. If you ever see a picture of Mr. Beast, his top lip is always like this. It's really weird. I don't know why he does it, but it works. Hiya, I'm Mr. Beast. It's a good impression of Mr. Beast. And then we got Jacinda Ardern, who was the Prime Minister of New Zealand back in the COVID days. I was a man for all of 4 minutes. Then back to being PM. Yes. And then we've got Starmer pledging to make Britain battle ready with drones and AI. Tourists fleeing from... no, this is actually a still from a video. You can actually see people going frog shit because in the Lord of the Rings, the rings of power, where the pyroclastic flow, there's the smoke there just like hits all of the people, hits all the elves, and Galadriel and stuff, and they're just like, oh. They wake up with a bit of ash on. No, that's superheated air. That'll cook you very, very fast. So yeah, get the fuck out of there. Also, there's like raining down bits of very, very superheated, hot, molten rock. And if any of that hits you, it'll make a hole. It'll make a hole. Oh my God. So get the fuck out of there, people. Come on, get moving. Alarm over rise in fake remedies for cancer. Cancer patients are snubbing proven treatments in favour of quackery, such as coffee enemas, for fuck's sake, and raw juice diets. Amid an alarming increase of misinformation on the web, doctors have said. This is something that I've been talking about for years. It really fucks me off. There are people out there who are so fucking full of themselves, so demented, that they think they know more than the world's leading oncologists on how to treat cancer. They treat cancer like a game, and they take people's absolute blind panic when they have been diagnosed with cancer, and they take advantage of them. They take advantage of people with cancer. And because of the actions of these motherfuckers who spread misinformation on the internet, it means people fucking die. And as someone who's had a sister who died of cancer, they can all fuck off. They can all fuck off to hell. Cancer is horrible. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Well, maybe Trump. And these people are making money out of it. It's like that German fucker, Matthias Rath, who went to South Africa and told the government that HIV didn't lead to AIDS. What you really needed is not antiretrovirals. What you really needed was vitamins. He was a vitamin salesman. And he sold he made millions. He made millions, that motherfucker. And people died. Thousands of South Africans and Lesotans. Basotans, people from Botswana, people from Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Eswatini died as a result That one motherfucker who went and said to the South African government, oh, you don't have to worry about AIDS. It's not a real thing. It's just pneumonia. Quick, have some juice and some vitamins. I've got some vitamins for you. It's a source of absolute fury. Absolute fury. Talking of sources of absolute fury, the IDF. The IDF strikes on schools in Gaza are deliberate. A series of recent deadly airstrikes on school buildings that were sheltering displaced people in Gaza Strip were part of a deliberate Israeli military bombing strategy, with further schools identified as targets, The Guardian has learned. Fucking IDF. Fucking Israeli government. Fucking butchers. Fucking barbarians. Over to the Express. New search for Mahdi. Former army chief attacks the PM for failing to confirm 3% defence spending. For fuck's sake. Budget delay won't cut the mustard. As Russia threaten. Budget delay won't cut the mustard as Russia threaten what? Threaten. I think that's very well written. Right, iNewspaper. What a group of 20-year-old virgins taught me about my sex life in my 50s. Okay. Life on Mars. The answer might be found in Stevenage. Disabled drivers send back their taxpayer-funded EVs because they can't charge them. This is part of the war on EVs that all the newspapers are in at the moment, because they don't want people getting EVs, because it means that they, the people who pay them, the big oil producers that pay for these papers to exist, won't sell as much oil, you see, if we're not dependent on it. If we're charging our cars through, through a wire, through a cable at the speed of light coming from a wind turbine. Energy, wonderful energy, just there on our doorsteps. Brilliant, fucking awesome. But they don't want that. They want us to dig out oil from offshore of Angola in the southern hemisphere and bring it all the way over here and then put it through a fucking, a process. Have I gone out of focus again? I keep going out of focus. Or it might be my eyes, but I think it's me. I think I'm going out of focus. Anyway, British over-18s offered taste of the military life with gap year in the Army, Navy and RAF. School children should be taught about work of the armed forces in order to increase recruitment, Defence Review states, with school leavers offered paid year with the military. Can I be perfectly honest right now? If that was an option when I was 18, I might have been tempted to go for that. Just saying. Because one thing I like to be is capable. And it's the one thing I really respect in people when they're capable. When they say, I will do this thing. And then they go and do it. And I'm like, oh, wow. You actually just did that thing that you said that you will do. Capability always impresses me. And one of the reasons why I get such a bee in my bonnet about the private school mafia that run 99% of public life in this country is that so many of them are incapable. If they weren't, if they were all fucking the top of their game, I would still hate them for the fact that they hog all the fun jobs and the well-paid jobs, and powerful jobs. But I would have a little bit more respect if they were all really good at their jobs. But then you have people like Matt Hancock, whose incompetence cost the lives of over 100,000 British people. And that motherfucker is somehow not in a jail cell. Pretty sure if you went out with a machine gun and killed 100,000 people, you would be put in a jail cell. I'm pretty fucking sure about that. But no. I read Mexico had developed a cure. What happened to that? What, to cancer? There's hundreds of different types of cancer. Every single organ of your body can become cancerous. Anything with cells in it can become cancerous. And there's different types of cancer for each of those individual organs of your body. And each needs to be treated in a different way. There will never be, I'm going to say this now, there will never be a cure-all for cancer. Because cancer is an umbrella term which actually encompasses hundreds of different problems. I mean, they've got the same root. Your body's fucked. And instead of, making cells that are viable, it's making cells that are fucked. But your body doesn't realize it, because if it was a foreign invading thing, if it was like venom, a virus, an infection, your body goes, oh, hang on, this is foreign bodies in me. What are these foreign bodies doing here? I shall create antibodies and take them out. But with cancer, it doesn't happen, because the call's coming from inside the house. It's your cells dividing incorrectly. It's really hard to spot, especially in certain places. Some cancer can lay dormant and symptomless for a very, very long time. It's something that, if treated early, can, a lot of the time is survivable, but it's still absolutely fucking terrifying. And people peddling shite on the backs of making money on the backs of people with cancer is, to me, one of the most disgusting things a human being can possibly do. Simple as that. Fuck off with your quackery. Don't need snake oil salesmen. We don't need any more of them. And this is another reason why a team that is dedicated to stamping out disinformation and misinformation can go much further than just stomping on stuff that the Russians are putting out there. They can also put stuff, stomp on stuff that is putting out lies to people, saying that the doctors and the nurses working for the NHS are actually the bad people. We've heard this argument before, where people honestly believe that the people who volunteer, the doctors, qualified doctors, who volunteer to become part of Medicine Sans Frontier and spend a couple of years, maybe in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and they will fly to a remote area in the east of the country, and they will trek from the airstrip through the jungle with a fridge full of supplies, full of vaccinations for children. So children in villages in East DRC don't die of polio or typhoid or Japanese encephalitis or whatever it is they're getting vaccinations against. They don't die of measles. They don't die of whooping cough, because these are deadly diseases. And those people trekking through the jungle to give those shots for free to those kids, those volunteers who are not being paid to go and do that, you want me to believe they're the bad guys? And the good guys are people with YouTube channels who put out lies to say vaccinations don't work, when we absolutely 100% know they do. If you ever doubt that for a second, go to a fucking graveyard. Go to a graveyard. Check out the dates of death in the fucking graveyard. And you will find in the 1940s and 1950s, fuckload of kids died of measles, of smallpox, of whooping cough. Things that people don't die of anymore. Or kids don't die of them. If a kid gets murdered, if a kid goes missing, it's front page news on all the newspapers. We're still talking about Madeleine McCann 18 years later. That's how unusual it is in our society for something horrible like that to happen to a kid. And yet, there are people out there who are just, they don't care. They just don't care. They just don't care about anything but themselves and their own bullshit channel that they've set up on YouTube, which they make a lot of money from. I'd make more money. I'll make more money from misinformation on this channel. I know I would. Because I've got the skills and the talent to make attractive thumbnails to get people on board. To go, oh wow, yes, secret hidden knowledge that the rest of the world doesn't understand or realize. I could spin conspiracy theories. I could sound very genuine as I span conspiracy theories. But I'm not evil, so I can't. I'll make a fuckload more money out of it than I do doing this. I'll tell you that now. I'll tell you that for nothing. Because, unfortunately, as P.T. Barnum said, there's a sucker born every minute. You're not a sucker. That's why you're watching this and not watching these misinformation videos. Anyway, right, over to the Tory graph, unfortunately. Here we go. Lloyd Webber, diva tearing Broadway apart. Okay, this is the story about there's a diva who was nominated for a Tony Award, but about 500 actors have written open letters to say if she's there, they're not going to be there because she's had beef beef going on in the theatre district of Broadway, of New York. Can we stop talking about periods? Asks Celia Walden. What? Can we stop talking about periods? I'm sorry. Just bear with me a moment. Celia Walden. Oh. Celia Walden. Wife of Penis Morgan. Wow. So her father, George Walden, was a Conservative MP, and he was Minister for Higher Education under Thatcher. She was educated at Westminster School, a private school in London, in the precincts of Westminster Abbey. So she gets to write a column for a newspaper, which is completely run by privately educated people. She's privately educated, and she gets to write, "Can we stop talking about periods?" Fuck off, Celia. Half the population, right, have periods or had periods when they were younger. And a lot of people suffer a lot when they have their periods. There's a lot of issues going on with periods. When we talk about kids not being able to use the toilet in school and having to put the hand up and say why they need the toilet as a teenage girl because you forgot your periods come on and you need to go to the bathroom and clean yourself up. Yes, we do need to talk about this. We need to talk about period poverty. We need to talk about women who can't afford to buy the products that they need to keep themselves from getting blood all over their clothes. We need to talk about this. How about we talk about the fact that women don't need to have periods who are on their fucking pill? If you're on the pill, you don't need to have a period. You could just keep taking the pill. But no, you have a week of placebos or you have a week of just not taking it so you can bleed. Why? Not because there's any biological reason for doing it. In fact, it makes it more likely that you will get ovarian cancer and breast cancer. Because as I was saying about cancer, it's when cells divide incorrectly. What do you think happens during your menstrual cycle? You have a lot of cell division. Your boobs get bigger. Cell division. You don't need to have periods. Why in the 1960s, when they developed the pill, did they say, "Oh, we've got to have a week off a month. We've got to have a week off a month"? Why did they say that? Why did the male chemists and scientists, why did they, when they were putting that together, why did they give a week fallow each month so you can bleed? To keep the Catholic Church happy. To keep the gruesome old virgins of the Holy See happy. Because they said, no, it's natural. It just you still have your period. You don't need to have your period. Simple as that. It's a choice. If you decide that's what you want, great. Go with God. I'm not going to argue with anyone. That's what they enjoy doing each month. But you don't have to have that. If you have the Nexplanon or implant, you don't have a period. They just stop. In fact, in the olden days, when women used to have 14 fucking children, for a lot of that time, they wouldn't be having periods. You wouldn't have a period when you're pregnant, and you don't have a period when you're breastfeeding necessarily. So a woman who was 40 years old back in the 1740s might have only had a handful of periods in her fucking life. Not one a month from the age of 12 or 13. Do you know what I'm saying? Can we stop talking about periods? No, Celia. We can't stop talking about periods. Fucking hell. What the...
I'm Celia. I went to Westminster School. I want everyone to stop talking about periods. It makes you feel all icky and yuck.
Fucking grow up. Jesus Christ. Penis Morgan's wife. Kate Smith, I was given the coil to prevent cancer. Says Kate Smith. I hope that worked. Martin says, Mum had ovarian cancer and that spread. She died 5 weeks later. She was very active at 82 and wasn't ill. Thankfully, she didn't have time to suffer. I'm really sorry, mate, to hear that. Mr. Harrow failed Ream test, colourblind, joined an army regiment instead. Wouldn't do it again, but I'm glad to do the same. Stop me getting in trouble back home. I just like to learn how to do stuff. You know, that's why I did join the army for a year. I think that as an 18-year-old, my mental, I wouldn't do it now, but like the mentality that I had when I was 18, I just wanted to know stuff. I wanted to know how things worked. I wanted to know how things were put together. I wanted to know about, like, you know, making websites and fixing cars and just doing stuff and going, oh, okay, well, I've got this thing that needs to be fixed. Let's fix it together. I think that's a really cool thing to do. But yeah, I not so much shooting stuff. I mean, that didn't really interest me. I've shot guns in the past in rifle ranges in Cambodia and in Vietnam. Oh God, they're loud. Jesus Christ, guns are loud. My God, guns are so fucking loud. One of the things they make this mistake in all like TV shows and movies where someone like fires a gun right next to someone's ear. And they're just like, yeah, I'm fine. That would like deafen you for a week. You just have tinnitus for a week. It's actually the sound of the bullets breaking the speed barrier. That's what that is, because it goes faster than the speed of sound. Got myself a moon cup, saved me a lot of money and better for the environment. Yeah, moon cups are great. Moon cups are absolutely fucking great if they work for you. I mean, there's people who it doesn't work for them. But yeah, if moon cups work, much better for the environment and a lot less mess and a lot less shit to throw away. Joanna says, for my mum, though she was having strokes, they realised it was lung cancer was everywhere, especially her brain. Strangely, not in her lungs, though. Oh my God, that's mad. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Joanna. That really fucking sucks. I mean, look, you know, cancer is such a tricksy little bastard, and we're all 1 in 5, 1 in 2, 50% of us will get cancer in our lifetimes. 50% of us, it will happen. And then, why does she even have a problem with periods being discussed? You have to ask yourself. I don't know. I just looked her up. She's 49. Maybe she doesn't have them anymore. She's like, well, I've finished with that. I'm going to kick the ladder away from everybody else. But we should be talking about periods. You know, like in developing nations where they don't talk about stuff like this. There's in Nepal, for instance, if you're on your period, you have to sleep in a separate room. In a separate building. You have to sleep in a separate building in some rural areas of Nepal, which leaves young women like completely at the mercy of any sexual predators who might be prowling around at night. And in other areas, you know, young women who are not taught about periods and why they're bleeding each month, they've taken their own lives. You know, this is. I couldn't want Celia to fuck off more, you know. But obviously, she's going to be an addition to the fucking private school mafia. Celia Walden. Let's see how our private school mafia is getting on. Our private school mafia list. I don't know if people actually on this channel ever look at the private school mafia list, but it does grow. It does grow quite often. Not as often as it used to, because it used to be a dynamically linked. So all I had to do is update my master spreadsheet, and then it would update automatically on the website. But I have to do it separately now. It's not a massive faff, but I have to download it as an Excel file and then upload it again to the channel. Celia, let's see if Celia is already on the list, or if, let's have a look. Kerry Mulligan, Carol Smiley, Caroline Lucas, Caroline Quinton. Oh, Caroline Quinton is on twice. Woo! Okay, I'm going to get rid of one of them. Oh my God. Okay, delete row. Bye-bye. Carrie Johnson, Kerry Yules, who played the Dread Pirate Robert. We've also got... Hiya. Oh, okay. Catherine's going out in a moment. We've also got Keris Matthews. Keris Matthews from Catatonia. Didn't see that one coming. Bye. Charles. No, I can't see a Celia. There is no Celia on this list. Oh, there it is. No, she's already on there. Okay. Celia Walden, Westminster School, right-wing tabloid hate goblin, and wife of Penis Morgan. There you go. She's already on the list. The problem is, my friends, is that there's another 1,264 names on the list. So it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up with all the names on the list because there's just so many of them. OMG. So many people. We went to private school. Wow, rabbiting on for a long time. I haven't even finished the papers yet. So Fuck off, Celia. You goblin. We've got Gavin Lineker there. Doing pose. I like that. Lineker gets away from it all. Gary Lineker cut a relaxed figure while celebrating his son Harry's wedding in Ibiza this weekend. Oh, good on him. Cuts to the army must be reversed, Starmer told. Fair enough. I think he's doing that. And then police in major hunt for new hunt for Madeleine McCann. And then we'll have the Financial Times, finally. Last but not least. Trump chickens out on foreign policy too. You know that the term taco came from the Financial Times. It's the Financial Times, the most subversive publication of our age. It might well be. Which version of private equity will triumph? All of them, I hope. Defense aims submarines at heart of review. We need more submarines, apparently. That flag's going to get very wet, isn't it, when it goes underwater? Just saying. Musk launches $300 million share offer for XAI in bid to refocus on business. Sale aims for $113 billion valuation. Staff to sell stock to investors. Startup owns social media service. Oh, I can't wait for the AI bubble to burst. Nationalist Rocky's Polish election win puts Brussels trade goals in doubt. This is the Polish election yesterday, where unfortunately the populist right-wing dickhead won by a tiny majority, but no doubt you'll say it's the biggest mandate in history, like they said about fucking Brexit. Because they're fucking liars, and that's what liars do. Liars fucking lie. Russia, there's a small story here about the Ukraine-Russia deadlock. The countries have agreed to hold a prisoner exchange and swap memorandums on a possible ceasefire, despite remaining gulf between the two sides at a meeting in Istanbul yesterday. So that's it. Hang on, we got a couple more. Bully soldier dead 3 weeks in bed at barracks. No evidence of suicide, says medic who found him, and post-mortem fails to uncause cause of death. It's in Catterick barracks, and his body was found 3 weeks later. 3 weeks in the barracks? What the fuck? That's fucking crazy. Okay, and then Lineker's makeup. Okay, whatever. And then we've got this story about Maddie. Police will today launch new hunt for clues in Wells land and a cottage near where Madeleine McCann vanished. You know what? I hope that her family get closure. I really do. I mean, it's not going to be nice in any, in any way, but I think not having that closure, not being able to have a funeral for their daughter, it's the worst thing that can happen. It's the worst thing that can happen. I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, but it would be better if they found her remains straight away. There would have been less mental strain on her family. It would have still been fucking horrific, clearly. But if it turns out this guy fucking did it, and he just hadn't told the authorities where her body was, then he is beyond any other living monster on this fucking planet to do that to someone, to do that to someone's family. Anyway, pumpkin spice Palpatine. I remember people dying at Catterick before, maybe 15 years ago. Yeah, but I mean, to be left for 3 weeks, like, how are you on a barracks with like thousands of other soldiers and no one notices? That seems really fucking sus. With these longer and longer live streams, I think Graham's turning into Marcus Allshort. I've got a lot to talk about. Well, we've finished the papers. We're finished talking about defence. I like reading your messages. I check the list periodically, says John. Yeah. Every twat. I mean, not everyone on there's a twat, but oh my God, every twat is on that list. Jesus. Martin, some men are just selfish and clueless. You are more enlightened. Oh, that's nice. I second that, Mr. Harrow, says Captain. Captain, same thing happened where I trained, but no one would have been left in a bed for 3 weeks unless it was avoided on purpose. Yeah. Elle says not to be controversial, but she could be alive. Yeah. And that's the thing, El, like to not know, because you'll never have closure. And it's really important for humans, just our psychology, to have closure, because then we can begin the grieving process. They can't grieve for her until they know that she's definitely gone. Martin is king for the day. Yes, well done. Well done. Martin says AI needs to be talked about in specific areas, not a blanket term. Some of it is good, some of it is just wacky. Yeah, we need decent policies put in place to curtail the nuttiness of it. We talked about it on this channel a lot, but like watermarks on AI generated video, etc. I'm betting every twat is not on that list. No, not every twat. I mean, Liz Truss isn't on that list. You hear about Liz Truss and this whiskey thing? She's promoting a whiskey set up by like some criminal. Absolutely mad. Sarah says, Graham, nearly a 2-hour show. Awesome. Well, nearly a 2-hour show. 1 hour, 56 minutes. I lost reckoning. So I'm going to say, ta-ra. I'll be back at 7:30 this very evening with Ollie Bowler Hatman, where we'll be talking about all the shit that's been going on around the world over the last week. And there's been a lot of shit going on around the world, not least the Polish election results. There's been an election, also a snap election in South Korea after their president was deposed. After, what was it? He called for martial law or something, and everyone was like, fuck no. Shut up, knobhead. Indeed. Anyway, so until we meet again, my friends, give us a like, please. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, give it a dislike. It's all interaction, isn't it? And thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the chat. Thanks for all the super chats. Really, really appreciate it. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and